Good evening. I would like to call to order the February 9th, 2021 school board meeting. And tonight I have the invocation and pledge. So last week was National Guidance Counselor Week. So I found a little poem that I really liked. I am your school counselor. I don't have a magic wand, a crystal ball, or all of the answers, but I do have a heart to care, ears to listen, time to give, ideas to share, and an open mind. I'm your school counselor. I'm not able to fix all of your problems, but I promise you that you won't have to face them alone. I'm here for you. Please stand for the pledge. Thank you. Let the record reflect that all 5 school board members, superintendent, board clerk, and school board attorney are present. Member Moramus, do you have any blue forms for acknowledgement? Thank you. Superintendent, do you have any agenda modifications?
There are 2 modifications, Madam Chair. First, the agenda for good cause is marked on the electronic agenda by a green flag named addendum item. And the second is to please pull item V.D. the interagency personnel agreement with FLDOE.
Thank you. Board members, do you have any modifications for the agenda? Member Sanchez?
No modifications, thank you.
Thank you. Member Kraus?
No modifications, thank you.
Thank you. Vice Chair Pennock?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. Member Calderon?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. I have item VH. It's an RFQ for Lake Hell High remodel and renovation. And Member Krause, I understand you've already volunteered, so thank you. Is there a motion to approve the agenda outline?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Superintendent, presentations?
We have 3, Madam Chair.
All right, it's my pleasure to introduce our SCPS Veteran of the Month. He is none other than Robert F. Fishman of the United States Marine Corps and a proud member of the Seminole High School faculty. Sergeant Fishman is in collision repair and refinish instructor at Seminole High School. He enlisted in the Marine Corps in 1973, where he went to Parris Island, South Carolina for boot camp. After boot camp graduation, he went to Aviation Ground Support Equipment Power Plant and Hydraulics School at Naval Air Station in Memphis, Tennessee. After graduating, he did on-the-job training at Naval Air Station in Jacksonville, Florida. Early in 1975, Sergeant Fishman did a tour of duty at Selfridge Air Force Base in Mount Coleman's, Michigan, which is a strategic air command base with a small Marine detachment of CH-46 helicopters. From mid-75 through early 77, Sergeant Fishman did a Far East tour based out of Iwakuni, Japan. There he was assigned with Marine Air Group 14. During this tour, his primary job was to support the F-4 and A-4 fighter aircraft from a ground equipment standpoint. He also served as a crew member on board a C-117D aircraft for flights to neighboring countries. After being promoted to sergeant, he was ordered back to the Marine Corps Air Station at Cherry Point and was then honorably discharged from the Corps. After serving in the Marines, Sergeant Fishman worked in the automotive industry for an impressive 26 years. He then joined his beloved Seminole High School in August 2007 as the collision repair and refinish instructor. He is an automotive service excellence certified master technician. He is currently teaching students about small dent repair up to major collision damage, both to steel and aluminum and plastic as well. The students are instructed on all types of various refinish work. Seniors that have proven themselves and have passed the ASE Entrance Industry Certification Exam are placed for employment at local dealerships and at the Orlando Sanford International Airport, where they are employed at Constant Aviation in the paint department. His program currently receives approximately $20,000 to $25,000 a year in donations from business partners and the ICAR Education Foundation. Congratulations and thank you, Sergeant Fishman, for your service to our country and to the students of Seminole High School.
Dr. Griffin and board members, it is my privilege to give you some information about the Regeneron Science Talent Scholars Search. First started in 1942 and originally sponsored by Westinghouse, the Regeneron Science Talent Search is the most prestigious, most competitive, and longest-running high school science competition in the United States. The competition is for seniors only and encompasses not only a student's research work while in high school, but also extracurriculars and their potential to become impactful scientific leaders. Previous winners have gone on to be Nobel Prize winners, National Medal of Science winners. They've been elected to the National Academy of Science and the National Academy of Engineering. Well, tonight we recognize via streaming, so you can wave to her and her parents, from Oviedo High School, Laboni Santra as a top 300 scholar. Both Laboni and the school each received $2,000. Previous winners, and this is like a who's who, so listen to these names. Previous winners include Ronald Zhu, 2020, and Jeremy Sue, 2007, from Winter Springs. You may remember Ronald. Ronald won about every science award we had. Sabna and Neil Patel from Oviedo High School. Rohini Shivamogi from Seminole High School. I was the principal then. I taught her everything she knows. Caitlin Burlingame, 2007, and Rachel Zelkowitz, 2004, from Lake Brantley High School. Also watching tonight, we're very proud, our 2021 Teacher of the Year, her teacher, Mr. Will Furiosi, and Dr. Trent Daniel, principals of Oviedo High School. So congratulations to Laboni Santra.
School board members and Dr. Griffin, I'd like to announce and recognize the next principal of Geneva Elementary School, Mrs. Amy Padilla. When we asked her to write a little bit about herself, Amy wrote 2 brief sentences, so I had to flesh it out a little bit to tell you a little bit more about herself. Amy attended school in Seminole County. She went to Spring Lake, Forest City, Greenwood Lakes, and Lake Brantley High School. She worked in our extended day program while she went to college at the University of Central Florida, and so she started her career in extended day. She became a teacher and has taught 2nd and 4th grade at Redbug Elementary, 3rd and 5th grade at Wekiva Elementary, and she was an assistant principal at Parton and Winter Springs Elementary, and now she is the proud principal at Geneva Elementary School. I would like also to recognize her family members, her husband, Gabriel Padilla, and her daughters, Lauren and Kendall. Congratulations, Ms. Padilla, and welcome.
Dr. Griffin and board members, I am thrilled tonight to present to you an update on our high school graduation rates. The first slide I'm going to present is really the growth as we track it through our 6-year trend, and if you look at our growth, we have gone from 81.5%, which was back in 2014, to 94.9%, which is our most recent grad rate in 2020, a growth of 9.4% over those 6 years. The next slide, which is probably the best slide we have, because this is what's in our strategic plan now, and that is our grad rate by subgroups. And it's on a 3-year track from 17 to 19. And one of the things we want to do, and it's part of our strategic plan, is close the achievement gap. And part of the achievement gap is making sure that we close the gap in grad rates. So I'm just going to kind of do a synopsis here of where we are. So if you look at the growth from 2017 to 2020, our white subgroup grew 4.6%. Our black subgroup doubled that, 9.2%. Our Hispanic subgroup, 8% in growth. Asian, 3.8% in growth. Our students with disabilities, 12.1% increase. Our ELLs, 19.3%. Everybody look at Minnie Cardona because she is smiling. Where is she? You can't tell because of the math, but she is smiling. Our free reduced lunch, 9% increase. So we're very proud of this growth 3-year trend, because if you look at the growth and we're trying to close the gap between our subgroups and our white students, we're making a lot of headway in closing that grad rate gap. This is a slide that shows our current and previous grad rates by school. The yellow is highlighted for the 20 graduation status. As you know, all of our schools did a great job getting through the 4th 9 weeks pandemic and getting kids across the stage, or across their auditorium stage. And also, there was a lot going on with summer school. As you may remember, we did summer school remotely last year, and we had students making up credits, and it took a lot of effort from the high schools to keep up with those students to make sure that they were getting their credits, and I'm particularly talking about our seniors. And the last slide, which kind of sums it up, is, and one thing Dr. Griffin told me about all districts is why couldn't we get number 1? My predecessor is going to have to work on that, because I think it's attainable. Right now, we're number 4 in all districts in the state of Florida. In the 17 largest districts, which is one of the metrics we look at, we are number 1. And in our Central Florida districts, which we always look at, as competitive as we are number 1. So right now, I want to see if you have any questions regarding our grad rate, either historic or the 2020 grad rate.
Board members, any questions? Good work. We appreciate the information. Dr. Griffin?
Yeah, board members, and I know, I'm just saying this publicly because I know that we all feel the same way. This is a pre-K through 12 accomplishment. This is our teachers working hard from when these students are 4 or 5 years old, keeping them at grade level, getting them through our system. And then when they get to high school, of course, it's all about coding and supporting and mentoring and all that. But very, very proud of the grad rate. And it's a huge district effort.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Moramis, you have comments to read, public comment?
Yes, ma'am. We had 3 comments submitted via email to be read into the record this evening. And the first comment comes from Dr. Jeff Siskin of Lake Mary. I would like to offer my thoughts on what many consider to be the most pivotal decision you will make as a school board member. That is the selection of the new superintendent. I attended the group interviews yesterday, having never interacted with either candidate. Yet, as the candidates spoke, I realized inherent biases I brought. For instance, as each spoke directly of their commitment to equality, which I share, I soon questioned whether I was being impartial in my previous consideration of the out-of-district candidate's background of educational experiences. I was prejudging his potential based upon my own perceptions of those counties' educational achievements and instructional innovations. Since one candidate is local, to me it is critically important to be as objective as possible in the deliberation process. For instance, when I asked colleagues what they know about the local candidate, I've heard the most positive attributes about that individual. Yet when listening yesterday, I saw both candidates reflecting and being committed to these qualities: caring, student-centered, data-driven, and questioning. The essential question becomes which candidate is better prepared to move the district forward in continuing to be the top-performing district for the foreseeable future. Being prepared includes possessing vision, knowledge, and experience. It is not simply a case of making the most comfortable choice or simply providing continuity. Any change is often difficult, but it's one seeks continual improvement. One should not merely seek the seamless transition, no matter how exhausted all the in-school system we are given with what transpired this past calendar year. What did I hear? Vision. Although both candidates spoke of a targeted approach dealing with the achievement gap, only one stressed the benefits of reviewing how we might enhance instruction all along the spectrum of educational achievement. Both candidates were complimentary of what SCPS is currently doing, but one also spoke of the value of looking with a fresh set of eyes. Knowledge. Although both candidates demonstrated a familiarity with curriculum and instruction, one appeared to possess a much more profound knowledge of instructional strategies, thereby not being dependent upon the executive directors or he or she would supervise and possibly hire and train. Although both expressed a preference for the team approach, one of the two manifested as more of a leader than colleague. Experience. Only one candidate has not only had the familiarity with all aspects of superintendent's duty, but also has the ultimate responsibility of such. Although no doubt perhaps mistakes were made, that individual has also had the opportunity to learn from such. I conclude by sharing that your choice reminds me of the typical high school principal vacancy, when one of the assistant principals applies, often because that individual's positive qualities and other familiarity with the person, there is a strong core of support. The question is always, of course, in which candidate the more local one of the outside one will have the higher likelihood to advance instruction to the next level. Dr. Jeff Siskin. The second comment comes from Claudia Soello of Winter Park, and she writes, Gabrielle Cielo, who attends Lake Howell High School, and all her peers deserve a traditional graduation. We all know this can happen safely. Seminole County and these schools are making these decisions alone, not considering that we are all aware that this can safely be done at UCF, which has a huge arena. Social distance is possible. These kids have had a rough year, and you will do this to them is unacceptable. We all understand last year was hard and decisions were made for everyone's safety, but this year we have had done face-to-face. Sports have been happening. Super Bowl has also happened. Restaurants, stores, bars, gyms, parks are open. But you want to cancel our seniors. All parents of seniors agree with me and are very upset that this decision was made without including our input. If there is a parent that does not want to partake in the traditional graduation, they can decide this on their own. But the majority, I would say, at least 90% want this done correctly and safely. Sincerely, Manuel and Claudia Soello. The last public comment comes from Debbie Souter of Chuliota. And she writes, this is on behalf of Haggerty High School. I actually have the specs on using the football fields at all SCPS. It totally works. So using the whole field being distanced 6 feet apart, not including the end zones where the stage would go, could fit 1,300 students. Only using up to the 50-yard line could fit 750 students. Can someone tell me why this doesn't work and why they won't consider this? Still plenty of room for administration. Now, when it comes to guests, I'm not sure how big the stands are at all of the schools, but I'm sure they could hold enough for at least 2 guests, possibly more, socially distanced apart. Heck, there's even room left on the field, too. And to make it even more interesting, using the whole field distance 8 feet squared could fit 740 students. Also, regarding weather issues, have a plan B. If there's rain in the forecast, then they can be moved to the auditorium, as then we wouldn't have a choice. I've seen WESH 2 predicting a month or more out and have been spot on with long-range forecasting that they are using. And if it's the heat, then we have it in the evening like Duval County is. A sunrise graduation would be awesome, too.
Thank you. Thank you. Superintendent Griffin, do you have a recommendation on the consent agenda?
I do, Madam Chair. My recommendation is that the consent agenda be approved as presented.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second. Discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. No items removed for separate consideration, no discipline hearing dispositions, and no unfinished business. Superintendent, do you have a report?
I do. Board members, there are 6 items, and they are all read-only items.
Thank you. Board members, committee updates. Member Sanchez?
Okay, so yesterday I wasn't able to go to the Central Florida School Board Coalition meeting, so Kyle Hughes went for me. So Kyle, thank you very much. And some things that we had requested from Seminole County was to look at all the data about controlled open enrollment and see where the students are coming in and out from different counties. And Kyle said that, they would like to have Dr. Griffin at the next meeting because they want you to attend to thank you for your service and everything that you have done over the years. So please see if you can put that on your calendar. They're going to have a follow-up meeting about the controlled open enrollment, and Joe Bernaldi and Kyle Hughes will also go to that meeting as they invited them, and I'll be in attendance too. There was a Florida economist that was there from UCF talking about different things and some positive things and some, it wasn't all doom and gloom type of thing. And his name was Sean Snaith, director of UCF Institute of Economic Forecasting. So right now, Marion County put a whole program together with their initiative that they're Finding Your E, and it's a career service program and planning and guiding to help students discuss what they want to do for the future. My Zoom meeting, we're just plugging along with trying to figure out what fundraising activity we'll be doing for that. I had 2 RFP meetings, RFQs, one on wireless network equipment and wireless network cabling, and we did the shortlisting for those as well. I'd like to thank all the teachers of the year for everything that they've done. The virtual event that we had Friday night was absolutely amazing. I'll leave everybody else to talk about that, but thank you to the wonderful team led by Missa Mills and her fabulous team members that did an amazing job with us picking up, all the teachers of the year picking up their bags and getting all their wonderful goodies that were donated by so many generous companies out there, one being Addition Finance. And then I had an opportunity to go with Dr. Griffin over to Lake Brantley and do the student forum, and we talked about a lot of things. Students were giving us input of what they want, what they would like to see, what their anxieties are, and it was a really good meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Kraus.
Thank you. We have been able to recognize some of our state champions and even runners up, and that's been a privilege since we can't bring them to the school board. So congratulations to all of our athletes. Seminole, we'll see you soon. We had a very engaged business advisory board meeting. We are looking at 3 subsets to do deeper dives. Mental health and self-care for our teachers and staff, education workforce skill set, and flexibility in the education model. And they hope to do a survey, if we can get Sanjay to compose a survey for our teachers and staff. How can we support you? What resources are available and so forth. So that'll be coming down the pipe. And I have Children's Cabinet will meet on Thursday. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Vice Chair Pinnock.
I've had 2 committee meetings. One was the audit committee. It was our first meeting together to discuss the formation of the RFP for the internal auditor so that we can clear up the comment that came in on our internal accounts. So the RFP should be going out. We had an incredible brain power committee at the table in that we actually worked through the specific details of the RFP at the meeting. Rather than 2 or 3 meetings, we just did it all within about an hour and 45 minutes. So I have to just thank that whole committee. Today, Joe Rinaldi, Greg, Richard LeBlanc, and I all spent at the BOCC watching them discuss the interlocal agreement. They had a lot of questions, a lot of comments. They have a goal of taking this to their March BOCC meeting for their county approval of the interlocal agreement. We do have one more amendment that will be coming before this board that is going to clear up some very minor details, some very minor wording, some descriptions. But I have to give kudos to Joe, who stood at the podium for 7 hours today to address the questions that we were not given ahead of time, we were not prepped for. He did a phenomenal job in getting us to this point. We are about to have our second iteration of an ILA in front of us completed, which is an amazing accomplishment. My takeaway from today is I'm very, very proud to be a part of the working relationship that we have built to be respectful of each other and our community members and our processes and our staff. And I'm glad that we are where we are with the ILA. So that should be coming, the amendment should be coming probably at our next board meeting. It will be emailed out to the PTAC and the PSFPC committees by the end of this week. So far, Altamont has approved Amendment 1 and the document. We've approved, as you know, last board meeting, the document and Amendment 1. So I think now that we've kind of gotten through the BOCC comments and concerns, all the other municipalities will be able to move forward and get it in their work sessions and signed and completed.
Thank you for spending your day there, Amy, representing all of us.
You're welcome.
Very much appreciated. Member Calderon.
Yes, thank you. In the Wellness Committee meeting, we were very excited, and I'm just so proud of our staff that are really going to be going above and beyond the call of duty to give another added benefit to all of our employees in Seminole County Public Schools. There was recently a COVID relief bill that was enacted that will allow individuals with FSA accounts to give them added time in the 2019 year and 2020 year to put in receipts, because what they found were people were unable to get some receipts they needed to for doctors' offices that were closed when COVID first occurred. So it's going to be a lot of work on Dawn's department and everyone, but they are willing to rally to do what's best for our employees, and that's what we always do here in Seminole County. So I have to say I'm just so proud of them, because many other businesses, they don't have to do this for their employees, but we've come to the plate and are going to be doing that. So any employee that's affected by this, they'll be getting individual communications from staff, so there's no need to call to ask questions. But the other added benefit is even though we've had open enrollment this year, we will have a window, and it will again be communicated effectively in collaboration with our Health and Wellness Department and our Communication and Marketing Department, that we'll have another annual enrollment option, that if you wanted to change your amount in FSA, since those dollars did roll over, if you opted for that into this year, you perhaps might not want to utilize all the FSA dollars that you had in hold. So again, that's another great benefit that we're allowing for our employees. So I was very proud of our team for that. Orlando Science Center, the good news is in the month of January, they tripled their gate amount. And it was because of, they feel, the Pompeii and also the way that they're doing timed admissions, that people feel very, very safe to attend in this COVID environment. And so just wanted to remind everybody that this week is Otronicon at the Science Center, and it will both be in person and online. So feel free to go to their website to sign up for a time ticket or to experience all the great science they have firsthand online. I have to give a shout out to our elementary team. I've attended many of the elementary magnet school nights that they've offered to our community, and our teachers are doing such a phenomenal job. I dropped in and out of music, art, classrooms, magnet discussions, principal Q&As, and it's a neat way to engage with our community. Perhaps some of those families might not be able to actually get the transportation to many of these schools, but just by going online, they can interact with our staff, and I think that's a great benefit that we're allowing our community to work with. And I too, along with Abby, have served on some RFPs that will be coming before us very soon for a vote. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I want to add on to what Ms. Sanchez said. There were a lot of people behind the scenes with the Teacher of the Year drive-through event. So kudos to Dahari, Maria, Michael Lawrence, Jean, Missa, Jed, Katie, and Faye. All of you did a really great job. And congratulations to our 2022 Teacher of the Year from Crooms, Clayton Donnan. I attended my first foundation board meeting, and that was very interesting, and it was a packed agenda full of a lot of data. So she promised that it would get a little bit lighter as we progress in the year. The foundation has a golf tournament Monday, March the 22nd. If you are interested or would like more information, foundationscps.org on the internet. We were all given the 2019-2020 annual report to the community, so that was shared with us, and I believe there's an electronic version if you care to share it with any of your community members. And there was a guest speaker, Mark Brewer, he's the president of the Central Florida Foundation, and my takeaway from his presentation was innovation always follows disruption. And that sure is true. And he talked about in the 30s, that was the last time we had any major disruption in this country. So, new business. I was going to offer if we needed a break, but we've really progressed quickly. So we'll move into the next segment of our meeting. And if someone does need a break, raise your hand. We'll take a 5-minute break, okay? And I'm very scripted for this. As we move forward with the selection of our next superintendent, our decision this evening will have a direct impact on the direction and continued success of our school district. Most importantly, our decision will impact the lives and education of 67,000 young people. With that in mind, our discussion should be open, candid, and guided by what is best for the students we all serve. At this time, I'd like to provide a review of our agenda and the format that we will follow during our deliberation. We'll open with individual board member comments, which will be conducted in roll call order, which are Member Sanchez, Member Kraus, Vice Chair Pennick, Member Calderon, and myself. At the conclusion of the initial board member comments, I'll ask for any follow-up comments from board members, and I apologize if I don't ask, just prompt me if you have a comment. The format for the selection of the next superintendent will be as follows. I'll open the floor for nominations and seconds for superintendent recommendations. Once all nominations and seconds are presented, I will close the floor for nominations. If only one candidate is nominated, I will ask for a verbal vote. If more than one candidate is nominated, I will open the floor for discussion. Once discussion has concluded, I will ask the school board clerk to conduct a roll call vote and announce the name of the nominee who received the majority vote. The candidate with a majority vote will be selected as the next superintendent pending negotiations. Questions? Okay, it's a mouthful, it's a lot to remember. Okay, Member Sanchez, comments, please.
Well, first of all, yesterday was a long day, but a wonderful day getting to know both candidates. And I want to thank both candidates for taking the time out of their busy schedules to meet with us in a group interview as well as individually. Both candidates were student-centered, focused on doing what's best for our children. They both value data and are committed to equity and focusing instruction to minimize any of the achievement gaps that we may see right now. I know that I appreciate the heart and commitment of everything that both of the candidates shared with us and how they answered the questions. And at that, I'm just going to leave it at that and go from there. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Kraus.
I knew so much from reading just their resumes, but I also value the relationship aspect and that shows in their personality traits. I think in a lot of ways, equity has to be forefront in our decision-making. And one of the candidates has built and fought for a long time, including formulating unitary status for our district. And I believe this is our moment, and this is a time that we need a steady hand. And I'm going to leave it at that, too, for further discussion. Thank you.
Vice Chair Pennock.
Yesterday was very insightful, and I appreciate the time and attention that we had from every member that was involved in this process. Equity is our driving force, as we have discussed that over this past year with the Equity Advisory Council, and every decision we kind of go back to what is equitable for all students, all teachers, all staff. And as well as we have the discussions that we need to make our decisions based on data and science and the information in front of us. It's a very hard decision. I think that either candidate is going to do a wonderful job, and I'm excited to see what this next year brings us. I don't have any specific comments other than that.
Thank you. Member Calderon.
Well, I guess I'm old school. I'm going back to the day when we voted on Dr. Griffin, and to that end, the way we did it, we talked about each candidate, and so if you don't mind, I'd like to share that. I truly feel in my heart that both candidates can and will be successful superintendents. It is our decision, though, to make the decision of who's the right candidate at the right time in this school district. I was very, very impressed with both of their passions. Many of their answers were closely aligned. I think if we went and took a videotape and took both of their answers side by side, and you didn't know if it was a man or a woman speaking, really the answers were truly aligned. I loved how both candidates had equity and excellence in their core. I mean, that is, it's not just something they say, it's something they have done, it's something they live, and it's something they demonstrate each and every day. So first, I'll just do it in alphabetical order. Our first candidate is Rita Beeman. I loved her 100-day plan that was submitted to us. She has an excellent knowledge of educational law. She knows everything about any SCPS contract that's ever come before us. She's meticulous in her detail work. She's honest, ethical, hardworking, and very serious. She's a champion for educational equity in that she worked very closely in our 2006 ruling that we became a unitary school system. And I see Dr. Cody out there too, another great team member. She got excellent recommendations from people I admire. And it's kind of neat to know, many people in the community might not know, she's a graduate of Seminole County Public Schools, and she understands our culture and our community. Second candidate was Chad Farnsworth. I don't think I've ever met anybody more student-focused and centered in my life. He is such a relationship builder, and a proven relationship builder with the state college, where he was a prior superintendent, with pastors in the community, with community groups. Excellent financial acumen. He talked a lot about the ROI of programs and not using non-recurring dollars for recurring expenses. He actually has experience in being a leader at a point of a superintendent, increased graduation rate, doubled the graduation rate for students with disabilities. So he really, truly walks the walk for all students at all times. Very humble and even keel. I liked that he made the comment that he's kept his teaching certificate active in case, as a superintendent, he has to jump in an emergency and go teach a class. So, that's the humble being and knowing. He kept saying over and over again that great teaching is the heart of academic achievement, and I know we all truly believe that, and that's why we support our teachers. I liked his comment of interventions that are intentional, and literacy, as Dr. Griffin so astutely said today, our graduation rate is there because we start literacy at such a young age, and he brought up the pre-K and instituting literacy then. He had excellent recommendation. I don't think I told any of you, I called the executive director of the Florida Association of District School Superintendents, Senator Momford, and in the many decades that I've been working, I don't think I've ever got a better recommendation for any employee that I've ever hired. He's got some creative ideas in recruiting quality teachers, and if I went back to revisit the video, I think he would have the same culture that we have. He must have said the word family, like we all do in our SCPS family 100 times during that group interview, because that means so much to him, to his core. And I liked how he just doesn't join organizations, but he becomes a leader in those organizations. So he's not only led school districts, but led organizations by serving on board of directors.
Thank you. First, I did a comparison of the candidates, what I thought they both exhibited. Evident, very smart, both of them. They both have a vision. They both have experience at a district leadership level and have an in-depth knowledge of the different departments and their inner workings. Definitely student-focused, committed to excellence and equity, safety being a priority for all students and faculty members as well. They both value communication, and I thought they clearly communicated to us. They want to listen and learn first. They both focus on filling the achievement gap. They valued student voice, and they were data-driven. I think they each have an advantage that kind of balances, one being direct knowledge of the inner workings of our district, and the other being superintendent leadership experience. At the end of the day, each of us will pick the candidate that we believe to be the right choice for us at this moment in time for our district. I also had some things that I thought personally I was looking for in the candidates we were talking to. Someone who had high expectations for others and would also hold themselves accountable for high expectation. Someone who continually strives for improvement personally and for us as a school system. A team player, but a leader at the same time. Competitive in a friendly way, a good sport sort of way. I think that's one of the things that sets our district apart, the way we relate to one another. Someone who's honest with integrity, someone who treats everyone with equal respect, someone who can rally the troops and cheer them on even in the toughest times, personable, approachable, a good listener first and a speaker second, and someone with strong people skills. So those are my comments. Any follow-up, board members? Member Sanchez?
Yes, I just wanted to say that I agree with a lot of things that you all said, and as a teacher, I know what it's like to be in the trenches, understand what it takes to lead a classroom and students, as well as being in the classroom with the parents and other faculty. An innovative leader that is somebody that's going to not just work on the achievement gap with the lower quartile students, but also someone that's going to help with our children that need an extra enrichment activities is important to me too. So I stayed up late last night, pretty much all night, writing pros and cons and listing some of the characteristics that I would like to see. And like all of you said, you know, both candidates were amazing. I tried to pull my emotions out of it, and it was a long night. But, you know, at the end of the day, we're doing what's best for our county and our district, and moving forward from there. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Krause?
Yes, thank you. I feel very passionately that at this moment, we've all been through a crisis, of sorts in dealing with the pandemic, in dealing with unknowns. And I feel like there's one of the candidates that brings a depth of knowledge already in place that will help right our ship as we continue to move forward. I've heard comments that there possibly wasn't an innovation core, and it wasn't necessarily focused on the future. Well, we have to get this right now, where we are right now. And for that reason, I have a preferred candidate that I will be supporting. The innovation factor, we have Dr. Weissong, Derek Jensen, Sean Gard-Harold, Heidi Gooch, all of these creative, bright, brilliant minds that will bring us the innovation that our district is craving. But right now, I feel like we need a steady hand on our wheel. Thank you.
Thank you. And I know whatever candidate we choose to support, that we have a great team here, a great leadership team that will rally around and help them to acclimate. Thank you. So board members, I'll now open the floor for nominations.
I would like to nominate Chad Farnsworth.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Madam Chairman, I'd like to
Is there
nominate.
another nomination?
Yes, I'd like to nominate Sarita Beeman.
Thank you. Is there a second? I will second. Okay, is there any other discussion? Madam Clerk, want to do a roll call vote?
By roll call vote, please state the candidate that you would elect for superintendent. Member Sanchez.
Mr. Chad Farnsworth.
Member Kraus.
Miss Sarita Beeman.
Vice Chair Pennick.
Chad Farnsworth.
Member Calderon.
Chad Farnsworth.
Chair Almond.
Sarita Beeman.
By a 3-2 vote, the School Board of Seminole County Public Schools has elected Chad Farnsworth as the next superintendent of schools for Seminole County.
Thank you. Superintendent, now we have to talk about if you have a recommendation for contract negotiation, please.
Madam Chair, my recommendation is that the School Board of Seminole County authorize the school board chairman to negotiate an employment contract with the newly selected superintendent.
Board members, is there a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Discussion?
I was just wondering, is there a way that we can go back and look at the contract and have a little bit more time looking over it and fine-tuning everything and discussing it possibly at the next meeting? Or is that something that's not?
Well, you can share any comments that you have, and they can be discussed.
I just want to kind of go over everything in detail more. But we can still do that later too, right, at our work sessions and things? Or
You
how's
know
that
the
work?
timing on negotiation? I think it's pretty quick.
We were planning on bringing a contract to the next board meeting, correct?
This one.
Is there, we will get you a copy of my current, and actually my starting contract, I think would be most appropriate, as
right.
well as my current contract for you to go through, and I'd be happy to
Right,
do it
as I
with you.
saw not the current one, but the other one, I think, and I would like to just do a comparison.
We'll get both to you, Member Sanchez.
And then any comments would go to who? Would it go to Mark Russi?
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you. Any other discussion?
Just Member Sanchez, in the first contract that was given to Dr. Griffin, our evaluations and everything were different back then.
Right.
So it might be a little convoluted. I just wanted to coach you on that as you individually, since we won't be discussing it together before you submit your comments. You might want to know why that contract looks a little different.
Than the one we have now. Thank you, yes.
Okay. There's a motion and a second. No further discussion. Is there a vote? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Is there any other business to come before the board?